The Pittsburgh Steelers have completed their 53-man roster, but now they start signing players to their practice squad. And officially, they have signed 14 new players to their practice squad, and this is the video going to cover each person, kind of go over where they came from, what they're all about, and maybe what they could bring to the team if they have to be risen up to the main roster. But first, let me just give you the list of the players the Pittsburgh Steelers signed to their practice squad. Some of these names have been on the Steelers before. Like, for example, they got cut from the 90-man roster in the cutdowns and did not make the final team, but they did move them to the practice squad because they cleared waivers. For example, let me just go through the list. The Steelers signed safety Trenton Thompson to the practice squad, cornerback Josiah Scott, cornerback Luke Barku, cornerback Anthony Brown, who came over from the Dallas Cowboys, defensive lineman Jonathan Marshall, outside linebacker David Perales, defensive lineman Braden Fiocco, tight end Ronnie Williams, wide receiver Simi Fiocco, wide receiver Des Fitzpatrick, running back Greg Bell, offensive guard Joey Fisher, and offensive tackle Kelly Dishik. Those are 14 players that they signed to the practice squad. In total, the Steelers are allowed to have 16 players, but they just haven't signed the next 2 players yet. When they do, I will cover it. It might not be a big video like this one where I'm specifically talking about the players, but it might just be at the end of a different video where I just talk about who they added to their practice squad. But for now, they only have 14 out of 16 players signed, and they've done this over the last 3 days, and I just want to cover it because they're part of the team still, and they could be given a chance on game day. For example, many times when players get injured, they have 3 chances to be risen up and elevated to the main roster, and we've seen this in years past with other players being brought up to the Steelers main roster and actually playing really good. So the Steelers, these guys could actually help the team. For example, Braden Fiocco, many thought that he was going to make the main roster, but he didn't, and then he cleared waivers and he made the practice squad. So that's really good. Because if they kept him and cut someone else, and a different team signed the other player that we cut, just for example, Montravius Adams, just say we cut Montravius Adams, and another team picked him up, then the Steelers want to have every defensive lineman they signed and had on the team this offseason. But since Braden Fiocco cleared waivers and they cut him and they're able to get him back on the practice squad, that means the Pittsburgh Steelers retained basically every defensive lineman they had this offseason. And we all know how good of a run stopper Braden Fiocco is. So we might as well just start there. Might as well start with the first guy and talk about Braden Fiocco. He came over from the Los Angeles Chargers this offseason, and he was a big guy in the middle of their defense. Whenever he was on the field, their run defense stats and their run defensive percentage was able to go up so much more than when he was off the field. He absorbs double teams really nicely, and he's basically like a third down defensive lineman, or in a short yardage situation, or first down defense lineman. For example, when you know it's a run stopping play and you need someone to stop the run, you put him in there. He absorbs double teams because he's so big, and just in training camp in general, whenever he was on the field, whenever it was a run play, it seems like the run play would go for negative yards or very few yards, and that's what he brings to the table. A run-stopping defense lineman. I do see him being elevated at least 3 times this season in certain situations, maybe against the Ravens, who love to run the ball, or teams just to love to run the ball in general, because he could really help out with run defense. And if someone gets injured on the defense line, he's going to be the first person that the Steelers call up. So, Braden Fiocco, he comes over from the Chargers this offseason. He got cut from the 90-man roster, but he cleared waivers, and the Steelers signed him to the practice squad. So he's officially on the practice squad as the Pittsburgh Steelers' first player that we cover. Now, moving on to some other players. I'm not going to cover every single player, but most players I will cover in this video. So let's go with Luke Barku next. Barku, he was signed to a 1-year contract this offseason. Prior to the Pittsburgh Steelers, he played for San Antonio Brahmas in the XFL. He finished the season with 31 tackles, 1 interception, and a sack. He was then signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars as an undrafted rookie when he came out in 2020, and then he played 3 games for them, starting 1, recorded 10 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, had a pass defense, but then he got injured. He spent a lot of time and many more seasons with Arizona, San Francisco, Kansas City Chiefs, bounced around the league, and then that's when he went to the XFL. but now he signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He got cut from the 90-man roster, but he makes the practice squad. And then running back Greg Bell. He's also on the practice squad as well. Bell, he signed by the Pittsburgh Steelers during this training camp. He signed pretty late on. Bell originally signed with the Detroit Lions as an undrafted rookie when following the 2022 NFL Draft. He played 2 seasons at San Diego State after he transferred from Nebraska. And while he was at San Diego State, he had 358 carries for 1,728 yards and 15 total touchdowns in 21 games. So he's a really productive back in college, and that's what his stats are. And now he's on the Steelers practice squad. Defensive back Anthony Brown, he was also signed to the Steelers practice squad. And Brown, he came out from the Dallas Cowboys in the 6th round of the 2016 NFL Draft. This is someone the Pittsburgh Steelers did not have on their 90-man roster and cut themselves, so they do sign him from the Cowboys when he got cut. He played in 12 games last season for the Cowboys before he suffered an ACL injury. In his first 6 seasons, he's played a total of 82 games, so he has a lot of experience, and he started 57 of them. So this might be a major pickup, and someone the Steelers really keep an eye on the practice squad, just in case if someone else gets injured on the team, or just in case someone isn't playing well, and he gets risen up. He's a career 324 career tackles, 260 of them, that's a lot, being solo steps. 4 sacks total, and 9 interceptions, including 1 return for a touchdown back in 2021. So I believe this is a good addition to the practice squad and someone to keep an eye on moving forward. And moving on to receiver, this guy, he was on the Steelers 90-man practice squad. 90-man roster. He got cut, did not make the final 53, but reverted back to the practice squad. Receiver Des Fitzpatrick. He was signed to a reserve and future contract at the end of the 2022 season. He was first drafted by the Tennessee Titans back in the 4th round of the 2021 NFL Draft, so not that long ago. He played a total of 4 games in 2021 for the Titans, and then he ended up in the Titans practice squad in 2022. Fitzpatrick, he played at the University of Louisville, where he had 154 receptions for 2,589 yards and 21 total touchdowns during his career in college, and now he ends up on the Steelers practice squad. He played really good during training camp, getting like 3 touchdowns in 1 practice, but he didn't really show much during the preseason. So let's see what he could do and if he ever gets given the chance. The Steelers. This guy got cut from the New York Jets practice squad last season, and I thought he was going to be a good addition to the team, but now he goes and signs to the Pittsburgh Steelers practice squad and makes the practice squad. So, like I said, he was cut at the end of the 2022 season from the Jets. He was drafted by the Jets in the 6th round of 2021. His name is defensive lineman Jonathan Marshall, and he was a 207th pick overall. He played in 4 games with the Jets only in his career. In 2021, recorded 2 tackles, but at the University of Arkansas, where he started the 2020 season, finishing with 35 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, as well as a sack, forced fumble, a pass defense. He played in 45 total games at Arkansas, 71 tackles total, 11.5 tackles for loss, 1 pass defense, 1.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. That's what it looks like for his career in the stats. So he signs with the Steelers practice squad. Next guy, linebacker David Prowse. Prowse was signed as an undrafted free agent following this year's NFL Draft in 2023 by the Steelers. He finished career at Fresno State with 22.5 sacks, the 6th most in school history. So he's been productive as a sack guy, and we all know the Steelers love having these guys who could really get a lot of sacks on the team and be a superstar at that position. He started 13 of 14 games in 2022 and finished with a career-high 11.5 sacks and 16 tackles for loss total. So he's had production, and maybe in the future, he'll be on the Steelers' actual roster and be given a chance to show out and show that he could get sacks at the next level and be able to be a run stopper as well. Moving on to the next player, the Steelers signed safety Trenton Thompson to the practice squad. He was on a 90-man roster but did not make the cut for 53. Thompson was signed by the Steelers during training camp, a late addition to the team as well. He played at San Diego State in his college career, signed with the New York Giants when he went undrafted in 2023, this NFL Draft. He played in 57 games at San Diego State starting 31 of them, and finished with 191 tackles, 125 being solo stops, 12 tackles for loss, 4 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and a sack. And he's a guy during the preseason and training camp that kind of really showed out and made some huge splash plays. So he makes the practice squad. Next guy, tight end Rodney Williams. The Steelers signed him. Williams spent the majority of the 22 season with the Steelers on the actual practice squad, so he's been on the team before. He was originally signed by the Denver Broncos in 2022 when he went undrafted, and then he was on Tennessee during his college career, 53 games, starting 26, finished 99 receptions for 1,217 yards and 7 touchdowns in his college career. So it ranked him a career 9th in school history in receptions. And now he reverts to the Pittsburgh Steelers practice squad. The Steelers cut Zach Gentry, and they kept 3 tight ends on the roster, Connor Hayward, Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington. Ronnie Williams is the tight end that actually went to the practice squad, not just Zach Gentry. Moving on to the final 4 players I'm going to talk about, they signed receiver Simi Fehoko to the practice squad. This is the cousin of defensive lineman Braden Fehoko that I talked about first on this list. So the Steelers signed his cousin who plays receiver. He spent the last 2 seasons with the Dallas Cowboys. Fehoko, he was drafted by the Cowboys in the 5th round of 2021 draft. He played 10 games for Dallas, playing in 3 receptions for 24 yards. He was placed on their injury reserve during the 2022 season, and this is kind of a surprise signing to the practice squad. We all know the Steelers love having blood on their roster, meaning that they love having people who are related because they know what their other siblings have, and they know they have the DNA to be special in this league, and the Pittsburgh Steelers once again do it, adding a relative to the roster in Simi Fehoko. He joins the practice squad. Next is the Steelers signed guard Joey Fisher. Fisher was originally signed by San Francisco as an undrafted free agent when he came out in 2023. He was released when the 49ers got down to the 53-man roster, but now he joins the Pittsburgh Steelers. Offense tackle Kellen Dishgeek. Dishgeek was more recently with the Chicago Bears, and then they released him during cutdowns this season, so he joins the Pittsburgh Steelers practice squad. He was also on the Miami Dolphins as well when he went undrafted in 2022. Last person of this video I'm going to talk about, the Steelers defensive back, Josiah Scott. Scott spent the last 2 seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles, where he played in a total of 29 games for them. He only started 4 games, but last season he had 24 tackles with 17 solo stops for the season, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 total interceptions while starting those 4 games. So in those 4 games, he had a lot of production, and now he joins the Pittsburgh Steelers practice squad. He also played with the Jacksonville Jaguars when he got selected in the 4th round in 2020 draft. But he goes to the Steelers, and maybe he could make an impact if he ever gets risen to the main roster. But all in all, this comes to the end of the video. This is all the players the Pittsburgh Steelers have signed to their practice squad, who they are, what they came from, what they've done in their past, and maybe what they could bring to the Pittsburgh Steelers roster if they ever get elevated due to an injury or just get elevated for a certain situation. But these are all the players that make the 16-man practice squad. There are still 2 open spots, but these are the 14 guys. With that being said, let me know down in the comments below how you feel about the Pittsburgh Steelers practice squad. How do you like the players that they signed? How do you feel about all these guys that they added? Is there some other people you might want the Steelers to sign to the practice squad? Or do you believe that Zach Gentry, do you think he's going to revert to the Pittsburgh Steelers practice squad or something like that? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below as well if you like Steelers content analysis reports. Like the video, turn on post notifications down below for this channel as well so you get notified whenever I post the next Steelers video. Click the bell down below so you never miss out. Who knew that I would have covered 15 minutes of practice squad players on the team? But as I said in recent videos and past videos, I cover everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, rumors, reports. And if you want to stay up to date with everything Pittsburgh Steelers, doesn't matter what it is, this is a spot for it. If you don't want to go to any other spots and you just want one spot to listen and not have to read Steelers news and want to keep update right away, this is a spot to keep up to date with. So turn on notifications for this channel so you get that notification on your phone, computer, whatever you're on, whenever I post the video, and you get updated right away. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, And as we head on to the regular season, starting in a very, very soon, subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications. I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.